So at the age of 7, I was shipped off to Alaska to go
Wow.
to military school, and I'm grateful for that though. I mean, see, a lot of people would go, "Man, that's messed up." Nah, man, I'm grateful for it because when you tell my story, people will understand where the gratitude comes from. Because everybody looks at adversity as something that should hold us down, and for some reason, you know, God, whoever it may be, taught me at an early age that don't let adversity control who you are.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Don McGuire. What's up, Don?
What's up, homie? How you been, bro?
I'm doing great, bro. Thank you so much for coming on my show. I appreciate you taking the time.
Honors all mine, brother. I know you asked me to do this probably 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks ago, and my apologies, bro. I had to go through a couple surgeries and things, but I'm a man of my word, and my brother Randy Marshall set it up, so I figured why not, you give your word, you got to keep your word. So here we are, brother. It's an honor.
Thank you. Shout out to Randy, man. Appreciate you, bro. So we're going to start off. You want to tell the people where you were born and raised?
Yeah, I was born in Sacramento, California. Wasn't really raised there. I mean, first 5 years of my life, and my father left my mother, and my mom had 6 other kids besides me. So back in those days, things were hard, and so my mom ended up going to the bar. They were playing a joke on this dude. They were gonna, he needed a ride. They acted like they were gonna give him a ride, and they were gonna pull off. Well, the car broke down, so this dude ended up helping him fix the car, and he ended up having to give him a ride. 3 days later, he shows up at my mama's house, and this dude didn't like me, so he kind of whoop on me, and so he was kind of cool with the other 6 kids, but not with me. But I was the oldest male, and so they shipped me off to live with my uncle, a couple aunts, a couple neighbors, some strangers, things of that nature. And then at the age of 7, I went to live with my real father. And my real father, he quite wealthy. Came home the second day I was there.
First time you met him? This is the first time you ever.
No, man. I knew who he was. He left when I was 5, but there was no love loss. There was nothing. I'm a kid, and so it's like the second day he came home from work, he was like, "I didn't sign up for this shit," and he put me in military school. So at the age of 7, I was shipped off to Alaska to go to military school, and I'm grateful for that though. I mean, see, a lot of people would go, "Man, that's messed up." Nah, man, I'm grateful for it because when you tell my story, people will understand where the gratitude comes from. Because everybody looks at adversity as something that should hold us down, and for some reason, God, whoever it may be, taught me at an early age that don't let adversity control who you are.
What was it like to be 7 and get shipped off? What was that day like? Were they screaming at you when you got off the bus or wherever you got off of? Was it like really strict like that?
Ah, well, it was in Fairbanks, Alaska, on Eielson Air Force Base, and it was a little different. Being a little, I was just a little kid, and the discipline was, it was there. I'm not going to say it was nice. I'm not going to say it was horrific. How bad can you treat a 7-year-old kid? But see, I, it's weird for me because military school did a lot for me. It taught me core values. It taught me principle. It taught me to appreciate what I could give to myself and what I can give to life. And although I didn't like getting up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and running and doing calisthenics before we even get to 7 or 8 minutes to eat breakfast, and then have to get showered and go to school, and go to school all day long, and then to go and do calisthenics and run and get 10 minutes to eat dinner, very limited TV. And it was strict, but looking back now, it was something that I wish that I could have experienced anyway. So I can't really look at it as a downfall. The only part that really left me hanging and had me in a place that I didn't really like was that every Christmas, every summer, I wanted to go home.
How long were you there for?
I was there until I was 14. You're only allowed to go to that school until you're 14 years old.
What?
And
what? You were there from 7 to 14?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I got to go back to California one time, and it was only because my guardians had a trip or a death or something, and I stayed with them in a town called Nenana, which was this little Athabascan Inuit village, and they were dope people, man. Just a couple hippies, but I really loved being with them, man. It made life cool because I stayed in a barn that had a loft, and they had a blanket. Of course, there was hay underneath of it, but I can open up the doors in the top, and right there was the Nenana and the Tananock River. And I mean, Alaska's beautiful, bro. So, and then getting to learn from the villagers, the little Inuits, the Athabascans, and the Eskimos. This is a town, now let me remind you, this is a town of 200. And the only reason there was 200 people there was because they were there working on the roads. If they hadn't been, I mean, all you had probably was, 100, 125 people in a little fishing village. There was a cannery there. They used to catch salmon on these sideways windmills that would sit in the water. The water would turn them. Yeah, the water turns and flips them into a little bucket in the back of this handmade, thing, and the old man hit it in the head with a hammer or, whatever, a stick, and they'd take it back, and then they strip it down and smoke it, and they'd can it, and that's how the village made its money. So it was kind of a cool place for a kid to grow up. I mean, I remember walking through the forest, and now, mind you, this is part of Alaska where you can walk where no man's ever walked before.
Yeah,
and I started finding all
that, right?
Yeah, big ones. But I started finding all these old boats and stuff. And so one day I asked John, I said, hey, why are all these old boats way up, because he said back in the 60s they had a flood. And during the gold rush, all these people were coming up here to mine. And when they had the flood pushed their boats onto land. And then when the water seceded, that's where they stayed. So on most of them, bro, honest to God, you could find everything of theirs. The only thing they took back then was the necessities that they needed to get back to wherever they were from safely. So, man, you find glasses, books, their diaries, everything. And as a kid in the middle of freaking nowhere, you sit down and you read the stuff, let your mind roll with it. And it's kind of cool because you don't really realize how much you appreciate it until you're older. But I used to find little family heirlooms and things like that I've kept throughout the years that I sit back and I went and researched, and it's pretty cool what life can give you. And that's the sad part about today, is because kids don't get that opportunity to see life like we did. They don't understand what it's like to come home when street lights come on. See, and I'm going to say this, you may or may cut it out later, but I'm 60 years old. Bro, it didn't matter what color my friends were when I was little. And society tries to tell us it should be an issue. Why? Because certain people say we should make it an issue. It trips me out because it never mattered one bit what color somebody was to me. The great Morgan Freeman, and I call him the great because he's a tremendous man. He put out a video. A lot of people don't want nobody to see it. And there's this guy interviewing him. And then he's asking him as a black man, he says, there's the problem. He said, you put black man in front of my name. I put white man in front of your name. Why can't we just be that man? Really. And that's deep, bruh. Because if there was no sun, if we lived in darkness, would we know any different? No. See, I appreciate people for what's in here. The body's just a shell. You know, I'm Native American and Irish. I don't, that's a title or a tag somebody's put on us. But if I call you my brother and you down on your luck, ain't no color matter, bro. I'm gonna be there. I'm Hall of Fame photographer Don McGuire, and I'm chatting with Staxx. Make sure you check him out.